Even though the warrior princess and the barbaric king is built on the foundations of war and kidnapping enemies for wives, it was a surprisingly lighthearted show. That's not to say that nothing bad happens, because we do have a tentacle incident.
And the first episode really was going in on the shock factor.
But at its core, this show feels like an isekai in sheep's clothing. Even though Sarah doesn't go to a different planet, she still has to restart her life in a culture shock inducing new area. And the story spends most of its time world building and showing you all the new fantastical elements.
She's even got the power fantasy by being the strongest person other than Veor.
Then when they go to the dwarf city, they drop all pretense of a European-style fantasy and fully embrace sci-fi tech, including showing off mech suits. This was the most glaring example, but throughout the series, it felt as though they were throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick. Some things would hit and feel interesting, like the engagement necklaces, but most aspects felt too random and incohesive. I think my main problem is that it doesn't have a clear goal in mind or a thing that it's building up to other than them getting married, which isn't really being worked on. It doesn't feel like Veor is actively courting Sarah, and instead is hoping she'll come around through forced proximity.
It especially feels this way since he isn't even around half the time.
The aimless feeling doesn't change until the final moments of the last episode, where Sarah decides how she wants to move forward with him and her home country.
Yeah, I was waiting for this to happen the whole time. They kept hinting at this being the outcome in the end, so I was surprised it didn't happen sooner.
They're also a bit heavy-handed on everyone talking about Sarah having his child in the future and showing other women pregnant or with their toddlers with a general attitude that made it feel on the cusp of a breeding fetish. Lastly, Malseus was too overzealous and annoying for me, so she brought down the second half of the show. She had too much screen time for my liking and further removed the focus of the show from being the romantic relationship. It's like because Sarah started being too accepting of everything, they felt like bringing Malseus in would restore some friction and balance, but it just derailed the show further.
I feel like she even more pressed that we could go home now, that we have the ability to fix her homeland's problems.
And we're ignoring it. One cool thing that we got to see was a lot of different types of dragons. Having the dragons integrated into their armor and abilities was fun too. I just wish there had been more exploration of the dragon that was trying to talk to Sarah in her dreams.
The ending of the show was also very disappointing. It felt like the show wanted to do too much and ended up not being able to get a ton done other than introducing characters.
Based on the execution of its potential, this show was an average 5 out of 10.